Robin Vincent and welcome to Molten Modular. Today I'm posing the question, how do you write a track on Eurorack? Now if you're looking for an answer to that question, well then you've kind of come to the wrong place, or at least the wrong time, because that is the question I'm trying to answer for myself. That's the question that is weighing extremely heavily on my mind. And hopefully at some point I'm going to be able to answer that with some kind of idea and concept. But for the moment, I just want to talk about the question. And the reason that I want to look at the question is because yesterday I got a message from Phil from Law and Order Records, the person behind the modularism concept, project, thing, 3CD examination and exploration of modular music. And he's asked me to contribute a track to volume 2. That's flipping exciting. I mean, you know, knocked over kind of exciting, flipping awesome to get myself in amongst all these people who know what they're doing. But then of course, as you're sitting there feeling rather good about yourself, you get this slap in the face of cold water as the fear starts to envelop you. I mean, I've got to produce a track, like a track from Eurorack to go on an album, to get released, that people will listen to, and so on. It just sort of rises up and rises up. So interesting, and brings me to this question of how do you write a track on your Eurorack? I mean, it's really quite weird. It's quite serendipitous in that I was hoping to spend March making music. I had this big plan of doing March, the Modular Making Music Month, which didn't come into being, mainly because I'm just too scared and didn't really have the time to put into it. However, now that very idea has come into sharp relief because I have like 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is all I've got to come up with a track. And that just scares the willies out of me. So the purpose of my video this morning is partly to just talk my head around the idea, what I think that means, where I could possibly start to even attempt that. But also it's to reach out to you awesome people out there because, you know, I've learned that you people are an awesome resource of information, tips, clues, nonsense, and general sort of, I don't know, encouragement that goes on in the bottom of my YouTube videos, in all the comments, this stuff that goes on. It's fantastic. You are just a fabulous bunch of people. And the further I get along into this journey, the more little nuggets of wisdom keep getting thrown at me from the comment section. So here's my question to you, modular community. How do I write a track with Eurorack? I mean, what do I mean by that? I mean, I guess that's the first question. What do I mean by a track? I mean, to me, probably the defining factor is that it has to be more than a patch. I mean, most of the stuff that I've done so far is just a matter of patching stuff together until it makes a nice noise and then I play with it. I feel that if I'm trying to write purposefully, on purpose, a track for something to be released, then I need to do more than that. It needs to have more of a purpose than that. But on the other hand, isn't the very essence of Eurorack the idea of improvisation, the idea of accidental sound, the idea of pulling something out of the machine that's pleasing and awesome and welcoming and enjoyable and in the moment? I don't know. It could be, because I'm in several minds about this. I mean, I can patch together something interesting and record it and say, bam, there you go, 4 minutes of me making modular. And that may well be enough. That may be enough. But is that going to be enough as far as I'm concerned? See, that is what I don't know. It's not the matter of whether a patch together piece of improv is good enough. It's a question of how I accept that as my own published public output. And what makes this all the more dangerous, I suppose, is that I'm sharing it. I'm sharing my little journey over the next couple of weeks into this, or at least I intend to. Because video of me, you know, sweating over trying to create something has got to make for good telly, I think. So what do I do? How do I approach it? What's your advice on how to approach something like this? I mean, just to talk about my previous experience of writing tracks. I mean, I've released several albums under the name of Molten Meditation, and those are instrumental pieces largely, with some sung words and spoken word in it as well. They're kind of spiritual journeys, if you like, meditations through something, but a lot of instrumental stuff too. But all of it has been in the box. It's all been in the computer. It's all been software based. And I can sit there and I can fiddle with presets and synth upon synth upon synth and sound and samples and effects and arrangements and work it all together into some kind of movement of music from one place to another. And that's fine. I can do that. I enjoy doing that. That is essentially up to now how I've been making electronic music. Previous to that, I'd pick up a guitar and write a song. And that I think is always very interesting, because there doesn't seem to be any problem with somebody picking up a guitar and writing a song. We accept a guitar by itself, you know, just a chord or a bunch of arpeggiated notes all by themselves is good enough to beef up and represent an entire song. Similarly with the piano, you can sit down at a piano and you can play a few notes and sing along to it, and it's a song, and it's completely acceptable as a song. When we get into electronic music, we tend to find that we have to have a gazillion layers of stuff, that having a single instrument going round is not good enough. I mean, if I bring this back up again, I mean, that really should be enough. It's just, you know, one sound going on, going round and round. Should that be enough? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be. I mean, I would suggest and assume that I need more than that. I mean, you know, if we're talking about normal songwriting terms, then I need a bass line, I need a melody, I need some kind of chordal structure, and then I need verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, coda, or something of that nature. But then is that really about songwriting rather than track writing? And of course the two are different, because in a lot of electronic music, certainly modular based, all the rules are being broken. And that again is part of the attraction of Eurorack, in that there are no rules. You could have a single note going around for 10 minutes and people would be amazed by it. We'd all be amazed by it. You can add a simple bit of modulation to something and we can sit there and listen to it for hours. Because we do. We even go to live performances where people just make noises for 20 minutes and it's fabulous. Because that's sort of what we like. There's a connection to it somehow that doesn't follow the normal range of emotions that you find in music. I suppose it's to do with the lack of rules in the technology, because I mean, with a synthesizer, you are bound by the normalization of those connections. So you know that the oscillator makes noise and the envelope controls the volume of that and the filter shapes the sound. You know, that's easy. But in Eurorack, the oscillator could also be a modulator, and the modulator could be an oscillator, and the envelope could be controlling the level of the modulation rather than the level of the oscillator. Anything could be patched into anything. You can combine control voltages in a little mixer and come out with a new moving control voltage doing all sorts of things. It's that lack of rules which is what makes it so enticing. That's what brings us into this point of playing and always getting something else out and always having another avenue to explore. That's what's awesome about Eurorack. And so if I'm writing a track on this here machine, I want to reflect that. But at the same time, I don't want to just somehow give a demonstration of what Eurorack can do. So what I don't want to fall into the trap of is trying to use everything just because I have everything and trying to showcase Eurorack. I don't think that's the point. I mean, it's appearing on a compilation album which is going to have a ton of other people who are far more talented than me producing tracks. And so it just has to be one of those. It just has to be, it has to be my creativity, whatever that is, whatever form that takes, kind of applied upon the Eurorack machine. That's all it needs to be, surely. So in a sense, am I saying that I shouldn't try, that I shouldn't plan? Should I start taking notes? Should I be working with something and writing that down? I mean, my experience of working with the Eurorack so far is that when I come back to it in the morning after I've turned it off, it sounds nothing like it did the night before. and I can't seem to ever find my way back to what I was doing previously. Although in the same breath, largely I come across a similar sort of feel when I then repatch it. I don't know, should I start with a sequence? Should I start with a sound or a rhythm? Should I start with a drum pattern of some kind? Should I start with something that just sounds nice and then work that into something? I mean, ultimately, I don't think I'm going to be working on a piece of music for 2 weeks. I think the way I feel at the moment is that I just need to learn a few things about a few things, which is an endless job in itself, in order to enable me to then improvise a finished piece. Because I imagine what's going to happen is I will sit down, I'm going to have to sit down for an hour or two and just record and play. Because that, I think, is when I discover things. That's when I discover interesting things and can pull those out. But then is that just recording a patch, just taking 5 minutes of a patch out of an hour of playing around? Well, maybe. Or maybe I should be more intentional. Yeah, you see, I'm going around these circles. At this point, I do not know. What I do know, what I would like, okay, let's lay out what I think I would like. I want to produce something which has a deliberate change in it. So it's not just a bunch of things which are set going, which then sort of modulate and develop over time and then go away again. I think that would be good enough. If I could do that, that would be good enough. But I want to push a bit further than that. I want to be able to make a change. I want to go from, say, a verse to a chorus, or at least from some piece of music to a slightly different piece of music, to develop an idea and then change it and then perhaps return to that idea. Just, you know, simple, basic songwriting structure. But at this time, I have no idea how to accomplish that. So I don't know how to have a sequence and then change that into another sequence without using two sequences. I suppose I could swap from one to the other. Yeah, that's possible. But maybe there's other ways I can do it. Maybe there's ways that I can change key, that I can affect a sequence from something else. Those are the things I'm going to be looking into very, very quickly because I have no time. So what tools do I have in order to accomplish any of this? Well, I've got the Varigate 4 Plus in here. I've got the Turing machine. Now, Varigate 4 Plus can create 2 sequences and 2 lots of gating, you know, at once. But it also has the ability to save patterns and recall patterns. So maybe that is where I need to focus my time. The Turing machine can produce a whole load of notes and pulses, and I can quantize that to a distinct 4. Although I've talked about in my last video about getting a proper quantizer. Maybe this is the time to do that, just to push me over the edge into doing something a bit more intentional. It's that word intentional. I love it, I hate it. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. My other option is that I do have one of these, BeatStep Pro, which you've probably not seen in many of my videos because, well, I haven't really got to the bottom of it yet. I mean, you must think I'm out of my mind because I'm not explaining myself very well. I mean, obviously the BeatStep Pro would be the perfect thing to write on because you've got 2 channels of sequencing and you've got drums and it's all there, very fingery, very touchy. And I have played with it and I've enjoyed playing with it. However, it's somehow so intentional that it sort of prevents me from finding the accidents. It's like if I start with the BeatStep Pro, it makes it feel like I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, that I'm supposed to have notes in order to put them in. I don't find the note entry particularly creative on the BeatStep Pro as such, but again, it's probably because I'm not using it right, I imagine. But I have a lot more fun in here with the Varigate and the Turing. Those are the 2 things, using those 2 things together have brought out all sorts of things and unexpected melodies and excitement. Whereas when I plug in the BeatStep Pro, it seems like I'm trying to do something and I'm trying to put in a drum pattern and I'm trying to put in a melody. And that is less exciting somehow. Doesn't mean I'm not going to use it. I might well have to use it. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think the Beat Step Pro is definitely the thing to concentrate on, to focus on, to work on in order to work up a bit of a track? Or do you think I should focus on getting my head around the Variegate 4 Plus in order to really do something interesting with that? So those are questions. Another factor is that often in the past with Molten Meditation, I've worked with a vocalist, Hannah Claire Cameron, who is fabulous. She has the most extraordinary voice. And that's kind of a resource that I would like to use in this track if I can. However, you know, she doesn't live around here anymore, so the opportunity to get together to put something down on this track is going to be unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely. But if I'm feeling like I should be writing the track in order to include some vocals, then that will change what I'm doing. It will change the emphasis. I'll be looking to create space for vocals as opposed to looking to fill the sound with more blips and squidges. So should I decide on that first or not? I don't know. I think perhaps I'm just going to have to see what's going to happen. I mean, I imagine during all of this I'm going to produce maybe a few possible contenders for a track. Maybe one of those would be suitable for some vocalization, whereas the other ones perhaps not. I don't know. I'm talking at the moment as if I'm going to actually create some music. Well, I have to because of Modularism Volume 2. It's going to have to happen. God damn, it's exciting. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to start. And also, you know, it's not as if I've got 2 weeks, 24 hours a day to work on this. No, I'm going to have to fit it in amongst everything else. I've got flipping computers to build, and I've got reviews to write, and articles to do. So, yeah, the making the music bit is going to have to be squeezed in somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, funnily enough, this evening at 8 o'clock on YouTube, I'm being interviewed by DivKid, which is also exciting. I'm having a bit of an exciting day as it goes, but maybe this is a question I could throw at him to see what his sort of workflow is like, how he approaches these things, because he had a track on the original Modulism album, and no doubt will have one on the second one. And so maybe that would be a good question to ask. And obviously that interview on YouTube will be recorded so you can watch it at any time, so you don't have to watch it or stream it live. But obviously if you want to get in on the discussion yourself, then do come and join us tonight at 8 o'clock Sunday night. And that also assumes I get this video edited and uploaded in time for this evening, which is March 11th, Sunday, 8 o'clock GMT. Another factor to throw into the mix is that I do now, because I have this AudioFuse audio interface with an ADAT input, I have this great big Behringer ADAT converter, so I can now route 8 channels of audio from the Eurorack into my computer for mixing. So I do now have the ability to take audio out of the Eurorack and mix it later and apply other things. Maybe look, you know, crazy things like some panning, maybe, or add the odd bit of effect or another reverb. I mean, but probably more importantly is that I can bring stuff in and take stuff out. I can start shaping the track, so I don't have to have everything going at once, or I don't have to improvise all of that all at once. Although, will that change what I do here? Because if I'm looking to mix it afterwards, post improvisation, then I'm actually going to want everything playing all at the same time. I'm not going to want to be doing sort of individual fades in and out as I'm messing around with it. Or do I? Do I want to capture the performance, or do I want to capture all the sound so I can then craft a performance afterwards? These are the questions. Crikey, this is such a thing. So do I think I have enough gear to start off with to actually formulate a track? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got the graphic VCO on loan from Erica Synths, which is awesome. I've also got the random rhythm drum machine thingy on loan from Vermona. So those two could be awesome in this respect. But other than that, I've got a wavetable oscillator, I've got the STO oscillator, I've got the black VCO oscillator. So I've got 3 sound sources, plus the Basimilus Iteratus Alter. So that's another sound source. Could be percussive, could be melodic. I've got 2 filters. I've got the clouds, which annoys the hell out of me. I've got a bit of DSP. I've got some drums and a hi-hat. And I've got some things which make noise. That must be enough. And I've got the maths. Don't forget the maths. That does everything, apparently. That must be enough to create a track. It must be. I mean, you know, some of the noodles that I've done, I've stuck up on YouTube, you know, have been pretty well received, and I've been pretty pleased with them. And they could potentially operate and be a track in of themselves. You know, they're half decent. I think they could. I could get away with that. But I would like this just to be that little bit special. But then I also at the same time, I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to overdo it and get so tied up in knots that I'm unable to do anything at all. And in this, as it becomes a spiral of self-doubt and self-loathing and you know, trying to decide whether anything I can actually produce is any good or not, you know, you just spin down into all the usual kind of creative rabbit holes of, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing and this is awful and oh. But I hope to sort of put some of that on video for you. So, right, so the plan has to be, first of all, I'm going to wait for you to tell me what to do. So I'm looking forward to your comments on this particular video. I'm going to take all of that on board. I may do a bit of shuffling here. I think I might take, everybody wants me to take the Mother 32 out. The Mother 32 might have to come out, but it's only going to go alongside. And I suddenly had this brainchild that maybe I could combine the Mother 32 and the O-Coast in a little rack by itself. You know, I have to fudge it. I don't want to try to Eurorack the no-coast because that's just, no, that's too much of a time waste and potential break of things for me. However, I think I can put that back in its normal case and then, you know, blue tack, gaffer tape or something, the O-Coast to it to sit it alongside. That might be rather groovy. But then that does leave me with this hole, and the problem with a hole is that it says, fill me full of modules, please. And that's a bit of a worry. However, I think perhaps in what I'm doing that a quantizer might be a really good idea, so I think I might pick up a quantizer. My Roland Demora, which is knocking around here, which has been bumped out to make room for the graphic VCO, that can run alongside because it has its own power supply thingy and can run standalone. So that is going to be the setup. Then I can take, you know, 8 outputs into the computer, mix it on there, maybe. I don't know. I've forgotten now what I was talking about. Oh yeah, is this capable of making music? Yeah, of course it is. Let's go with that. I could even run guitar alongside. Who knows? Oh, I'm confused. I'm confused and desperate. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll try to put together some sessions of me working with it, trying to get my head around building a track. Maybe even just filming myself working on it for an hour. I might even stream it. I mean, a lot of people have suggested that I just stream on YouTube rather than trying to use this Twitch TV thing because it's just like a different thing and a different genre, whereas everybody understands YouTube and perhaps that might be the best way to stream. Sure, that might well be it. I didn't actually realize the capabilities of the YouTube streaming until people pointed it out. So that might be a good thing to do. So I could stream in real time, just me working on this track. And I think that might be interesting. And then I'll keep going at it and see what occurs. And hopefully by the end of it, I'll be able to produce another video talking about kind of what I learned and how I did it and what the results were like. But then the results really are then down to you, what you feel about what I did. Well, that sounds like some kind of way forward anyway. But what will probably happen is that I'll put it off and I'll put it off and I'll put it off until I have no time left. And then I will just have a blast at it for 20 minutes, go whoosh, bang, dum, done. Email that off. There you go. That's my normal way of working. Go up to the line and then just slightly beyond the line and then stuff it in as fast as you can. That's just the way I work, I think. I don't know. I'm going to be very interested in your comments. Can't wait to read what you think and what your experience has been of making an actual track in order to release it. Now, this only has to be 4 or 5 minutes long, not a 20-minute evolution of something. So it has to fit within that space. I don't just want to turn it on and then fade it in and fade it out. I want to do something more than that. So any tips and advice on, you know, changing chords or chord progressions or how you swap between one sequence and another seamlessly on the fly, all of those things will be very, very useful to me. And let's see if we can't bang out a half decent tune. If you're around tonight, do tune into DivKid's channel at 8 o'clock to see us and hear us talk about modular and stuff. Not sure what we'll talk about, but I'll definitely ask him about riding a track. But it should be fun, and I feel so deeply chuffed to be part of this whole thing. You know, it's awesome. Loving it. Having such a good time. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for making my life more interesting. Please throw your comments down below. And in the meantime, as I blunder on into taking my own advice, go and make some tunes.